is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(8:45). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Indrani Senanaik. The headlines. 98% of teachers and non-academic staff in the Western Province have been given at least one dose of a corona vaccine. The Lanka Private Owners Association says buses will be operated according to service requirements. The Ministry of Buddha Sasana requests all stakeholders to make observations on the Tripitaka Conservation Draft Bill. Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe files a writ petition in the appeals court. News from overseas. Wildfires rip through southern Turkey, ravaging coastal resorts and forcing tourists to flee. Sports Olympics. Greco-Roman wrestler wins fourth straight gold medal. At least one dose of a COVID vaccine has been given to 83% of teachers and non-academic staff members. It is 98% in the Western Province. The second dose is scheduled to be given by the end of this month. Minister G.L. Piris said that all the schools are expected to be opened following health recommendations. He requested teachers to arrive in schools to make preparations to open schools. Lanka Private Bus Owners Association says that steps will be taken to deploy buses according to service needs. 60% of interprovincial buses and 50% of short-distance buses have been added to the service. Chairman of the association, Gamunu Wijeratna, pointed out the need to keep a photocopy of the vaccination card. Since only passengers who have received the COVID vaccine will be allowed to travel in buses. He said that the government has not responded yet to the request. The Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs has requested all stakeholders to make observations and to give recommendations on the Tripitaka Conservation Draft Bill. The relevant observations and recommendations can be sent to email admin@mbs.gov.lk before the 5th of next month. The draft bill has been published on www.mbs.gov.lk website. Secretary to the Ministry, Professor Kapila Gunawardena, said that an intellectual committee meeting in this regard will be held on the 5th, 6th and 7th at the BMICH in Colombo. Observations and recommendations in writing can be handed over to the officials at the place on the 6th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Former Prime Minister MP Ranil Wickremesinghe has filed a writ petition in the appeals court seeking to void the recommendations made against him by the Political Victimizations Commission. Chairman and members of the commission have been cited as respondents along with its secretary and President Secretary Dr. P.B. Jayasundara. Mr. Wickremesinghe has said that he was not given a charge sheet by the commission. He has also stated that he was not asked for sufficient information by the Commission. Mr. Wickremesinghe has said that the Anti-Corruption Secretariat was set up during the time of the Good Governance government according to a decision of the Cabinet, and all its expenditure is legal. Therefore, Mr. Wickremesinghe has requested for a writ order and to issue an interim order preventing the implementation of recommendations until the final decision is given. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance. Like a father, like a mother.
We continue with local news. The government has paid its attention on the measures that have been taken in connection with an oil leak at the Express Pearl ship that sank. A decision took place today under the patronage of Minister Ali Sabri to reveal the progress of the measures taken, damage caused to the environment and getting compensation payments. Officials of the Marine Environment Protection Authority, the Navy, NARA, the Merchant Navy Secretariat and other relevant officials were instructed to pay strict attention about the oil leak. Attention was also paid on getting the assistance of the fisheries community to clean the coastal belt from the debris. Paying of compensation to the fishermen who lost their livelihood is continuing. The Disaster Management Centre has said that people living close to the Keselgamo Oya should be vigilant since the Mausakale Reservoir is overflowing. This is a risk of the water level in the area increasing since water is flowing from the Laksapana Reservoir to the Keselgamo Oya. Therefore, Deputy Director of the Centre, Pradeep Kodipilli, said that people in those areas should stay alert. People in the estate sector conducted a protest today as well, demanding justice for the girl who died with burn injuries while in domestic service at MP Rishad Badiuddin's house. The protest was conducted today near the Bogavantalaba Rock Hill Estate and the Bogavantalaba Tea Factory. A group of estate workers at Hatton, Kottagala and Mayfield Estate also conducted a protest today at Kottagala on the Hatton-Norelia Road. Our reporters said that the group of estate workers at Nawalapitia Basketball Estate also engaged in a protest today, demanding to bring the offenders before law and to impose severe punishments on them. Next, we take a look at the main news story.
The largest bonus declared in the history of the Sri Lankan insurance industry. Sri Lanka Insurance Grand Bonus, an unmatchable bonus of 8.6 billion rupees only for Sri Lanka Insurance life policy holders from the nation's largest insurer. Call 0112 357 357 for more details. Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Ministry of Health says that another 1,958 patients who are being treated for COVID-19 have been discharged after recovering from the virus. This increases the country's coronavirus recoveries to 280,868. Sri Lanka so far confirmed 311,349 positive cases of COVID-19, while 25,973 patients infected with the virus are currently under medical care. The death toll due to the virus currently stands at 4,508. That was the main news story. Watchlight is up next.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board has announced a 24-hour water cut in several areas around Wattala from 10 a.m. tomorrow. It is due to the laying of pipelines across the Handala Bridge and connecting it to the main water supply line. Accordingly, water supply to a section of the Wattala-Nigambo Road, a section of the Maabola, Valikadamulla, the Handala Road and all other by-roads up to the Nayakakanda Junction, Alvis Town, Maradana Road, Puakwatta Road, also Galgaha Dua and a section of the Keralapitia area will be interrupted. That was a look at Watchlight. A bulletin of world news will follow. On to the headlines. Wildfires ripped through southern Turkey, ravaging coastal resorts and forcing tourists to flee. China's flood death toll rises sharply. Belarus Olympian has been given Polish visa after refusing flight home. At least 8 people have been killed in wildfires that have ripped through southern Turkey, ravaging coastal resorts and forcing tourists to flee. The blazes have been raging for 6 days as Turkey grappled with its worst fire crisis in a decade. On Monday, Turkish authorities said more than 130 blazes have been contained as firefighters' efforts continued. Firefighters are trying to contain wildfires in parts of Greece, Spain, and Italy. The death toll from the floods in China's central Henan province last month has risen sharply to at least 302, officials have confirmed. About 50 people remain missing after the region was engulfed by severe flooding caused by heavy rainfall. Almost 13 million people were affected and nearly 9,000 homes were damaged. The majority of deaths were reported in the city of Zhengzhou. The city reported a year's rainfall within the space of 3 days. A sprinter from Belarus who refused her team's order to fly home early from the Olympics has been granted a humanitarian visa by Poland. Kristina Timanovskaya, aged 24, is at the Polish embassy in Tokyo after spending the night secured in a hotel under protection from Japanese police. She said she was forcibly taken to the airport for criticizing coaches and voiced fears for her safety. Belarus says she was removed from the team because of her emotional state. To end this bulletin of world news, the headlines again. Wildfires rip through southern Turkey, ravaging coastal resorts and forcing tourists to flee. China's flood death toll rises sharply, and Belarus Olympian have been given Polish visa after refusing flight home. That ends this bulletin of world news. Development news is next.
Development news is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Development news. The Ministry of Environment, together with the Tokyo Cement Group, recently kicked off the Ivura Rakina Powder program at the Mahaveli riverbank in Manampitia. The initiative was launched by Environment Minister Mahinda Amaravira with the participation of key government officials and representatives of the Tokyo Cement Group. The project aims to plant kumbuk and mee saplings on the banks of the Mahaveli River. That was development news. A look at sports news next.
Development news was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melba RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melba RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
On to sports news. Greco-Roman wrestler Mijan Lopez has cemented his position in history by winning the 4th straight Olympic gold medal. The 38-year-old Cuban beat Georgia's Ikobi Kayaja 5-0 at the Makhtari Messi Hall. He is the most successful male Olympic wrestler of all time and only the 5th athlete in history to win 4 gold medals in the same individual event. Canada secured a 1-0 victory over world champions United States to set up a women's Olympic football final against Sweden in Tokyo 2020. Jessie Fleming scored Canada's winner from the penalty spot after Deanna Rose was fouled by Tiana Davidson inside the box at the Kashima Stadium. Canada will face Sweden in Friday's gold medal match. Emily Campbell became the first British female weightlifter to win an Olympic medal with 87 kilogram silver. The 27-year-old lifted a total of 283 kilograms as China's Li Wenwen won gold with a new Olympic record of 320 kilograms. Campbell, making her Olympic debut in Tokyo, was 4th after the snatch, but moved onto the podium with successive clean and jerk lifts of 156 kilograms and 161 kilograms. Transgender athlete Laurel Hubbard made Olympic history but failed to record a successful lift in the women's 87-kilogram weightlifting. She became the first openly transgender athlete to compete at the Games in a different gender category to the one in which they were born. Her competition ended after a failed attempt to lift 120 kilograms and 2 failed efforts at 125 kilograms in the snatch. That was a look at sports news. Business news is next.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
On to business news. Chairman of the Lanka Salt Company, Nishantha Sandabarana, says that his organisation is prepared to produce salt according to the Made in Sri Lanka policy. He said that the company will produce vacuum salt, bamboo salt and pharmaceutical salt, which are 100% sand-free. That was business news. Economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
On to economic news. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has opened the special export unit established to coincide with the 82nd anniversary of the Bank of Ceylon. The Prime Minister opened the special unit online from Temple Trees. It has been established in the Bank of Ceylon Trade Services Unit. Expressing his views on the occasion, Chairman of the Bank of Ceylon, Kanchana Ratwata, said that they have introduced a Divi Udana loan scheme for small and medium-scale industrialists according to the Vistas of Prosperity policy statement. That was economic news. Finally, we take a look at the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
A look at the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the Sabaragamuwa and Western provinces and in the Nuwara, Kandy, Galle and Matara districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara district during the night. That was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To end tonight's news broadcast, we take a look at the headlines again. 98% of teachers and non-academic staff in the Western province have been given at least one dose of a corona vaccine. The Lanka Private Bus Owners Association says buses will be operated according to service requirements. The Ministry of Buddha Sasana requests all stakeholders to make observations on the Tripitaka Conservation Draft Bill. Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe files a writ petition in the appeals court. News from overseas. Wildfires rip through southern Turkey, ravaging coastal resorts and forcing tourists to flee. And in sports news, Olympics. Greco-Roman wrestler wins 4th straight gold medal. That ends tonight's news broadcast.